time for what?
Experience in college.
Where nothing is impossible unless you think it is impossible.
College.
My college scholarship.
Yes.
Boom.
College ran by real fast.
You hung in with the best college.
Touchdown! Genius, let's do this thing!
Yes. Welcome. Magandang gabi. Buenas noches. Thank you for being here with us today.
Now, I don't know about you, Mr. Lorenzo, but have you been staying hydrated?
I got my water here and looking forward to ice cream. I hope everyone else is going to be thinking about a cold treat after this. We'll bring it in hot and then everyone can have a cold treat. And happy Filipino American History Month to you all.
Yes. And it's also the same time as Latinx Heritage Month as well, too.
Shared history. Thank you for being here for our Junior Parent Guardian College Night. I'm Mr. Lorenzo, co-hosting with Ms. Vaccaro. We're going to go ahead, get ourselves grounded and centered before we jump into our evening. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Ms. Vaccaro.
Thank you so much. We are so honored to have you tonight. We know how busy your schedule is. We know how important your children are. So thank you. And Mr. Lorenzo and I really can sympathize with all the experiences you're doing. We are so honored with the wealth of support we have with our colleagues. There's not one, there's not two, but there's 5 college counselors with 75 years of experience here to support you. And Ms. Lorenzo and I are not only a college counselor, but also parents as well, too, getting ready and always thinking about that next step for our beautiful babies beyond high school, and then also having that college experience, understanding with that college admissions. And we share all that wonderful knowledge with that team. But you're part of that team too. So let's get grounded for a moment and let's just take a breath and let us take another breath again. And then with each breath, let's remember there is a moment for hope. Hope to laugh, hope to smile, hope for a better day and a stronger future. There is always great hope around us because there are opportunities all around. If you look to your right, I may appear to discover a new friend or an ally you do not know yet who can't wait to be there for you or for your child. If you look to your left, it may be an opportunity to experience a new exciting program, subject, or challenge that will broaden your life. If you look ahead, you can see all the enormous amounts of opportunities in front of you, as long as you keep looking and not blinding yourself with labels or naysayers in your mind. If you look behind you, there is an infinite amount of opportunities with mountains of hope waiting for you to discover them, allies ready to support you and your student, and more moments for breath that give you more hope and opportunities. So let's talk about all those opportunities, Mr. Lorenzo.
Well, thank you all. We're going to review our 3-pronged approach. We're going to give you kind of the lay of the land in terms of giving you all a timeline. We spent a good amount of time talking about how to kind of figure out how the college, figure out what is a match and what is a fit and how that matters for your student, highlighting the different things that we want you to be thinking about as you figure out how to consider all the various components and moving parts that sort of compose the college research process. We will have an opportunity to show a little bit of score and to show you all how to do some basic functionality as you enter into this junior year. We'll talk about test optional and we'll talk about how to frame the importance of how junior year will play out for you all. As Ms. Vaccaro mentioned, college counseling crew, over 75 years of experience. We want to highlight this and emphasize for everyone that though we have specific assignments, we have a caseload, we are all here for you, partnering and witnessing how the whole journey unfolds for everyone. We take a lot of time and pride and putting in effort to work with you all. We recognize and understand how much nerves, how much anxiety, how much fun and excitement, and it's all of the above, and it's all mixed in there together. And we're here to ride along with you and know that we're part of what I like to think of as a group project. We are starting this group project together, and so this is the crew. We're all here for you, and we're excited to be a part of this whole process as you journey together with us?
So one of the things that is really important to know, we are a team. Yes, we, as your student is doing a lot of different stuff, we are a team together. We are your tripod. We, as your college counselor for your student, each of your students, in case those folks out there have some twins, will have an assigned college counselor, one of those 5 dynamic individuals that I'm so honored to work with, because they will be guiding your wonderful student about all these other activities, what to do, but using wisdom and experience from the colleges who are basically telling us the answers of what they want. But notice the title, counselor, of what your child needs. And that's why that partnership with your student, asking their questions, being part of those presentations with us is a key in this process. But we cannot and we never forget about you. You are their guardians. You are their true consultants, helping them understand what they need to do, what they need to look in the horizon, and also, as a parent and guardian, what not to do as well too. And sometimes that means just saying no so they can have balance, they can have sleep, and they also can have fun as well too. Here you get an idea of a timeline of the year. Now, this does not encompass everything. That will take the whole presentation. This gives you just an idea what is happening with your student, with us at St. Ignatius. So yes, starting fall semester, our wonderful juniors are going to be learning about different parts of the college process in their assigned caseload with their assigned college counselors during X period. Nothing different. Your students know this, what they've done all since freshman year with their personal academic counselors. So it's a way for us to give them some information, ask some questions. Already, I love seeing our juniors, way to go, class of 2025, going to college rep visits. Yes. Since September, for over a month, we have a lot of college reps coming in, UC Santa Barbara, Oberlin College, UC Merced. It goes on and on and on, both private, public, out of state, Jesuit, you name it, they're there. But make sure to have your student look at those dates because they do end in November. Even though the reps stop coming because they get ready to read those college applications in the fall, there's college planning workshops. So then we get into the heart of it, right? Our department loves to go and talk to students, advise them, support them, but also help them learn by doing. What do I mean by that? Those are the planning workshops. Help them to discover colleges, the gems that are out there. Help them to discover themselves, how they could highlight who they are and how to bring it all together. And then with our monthly newsletter, we have such hardworking team members who produce that. We always go edit. It's not just copy and paste. It's a fruitful information out there. So if you want more specific details, it's all on there. That's just fall semester. Then when we ring in 2024, we're going to still be doing some more planning workshops, right? It's not just one and done. It's many more. And let's get going on working on it. So as you would see, we don't stop that teamwork process. And then again, we'll continue doing the X periods. And also we will do those one-on-one meetings. And always the students are always welcome to come and just ask questions. And then let's just say if a college counselor's not there, we are a team of 5 college counselors. So if I'm busy with a meeting with the student, they can see Mr. Lorenzo, you name it, Ms. Camperberry, etc. So they have all 5 of us to answer those questions. And then we'll also have various events. Their Richmond program fair. We'll have other special events hosted at our school. And why you want to take advantage of that? Because sometimes you get an intimate moment, maybe with a college representative, maybe look at an opportunity that you never heard of as an outside activity. But once again, we'll make sure you don't miss any opportunity through our monthly newsletters. It's really important to understand at least the gist of the college process. There are thousands of colleges in the United States of America. And that's why there's so many people internationally that want to come to see us. But how do you figure about the difference between college A or college B? Well, I think it's important to kind of step back and just kind of look at what is the mission that all the colleges are looking at. And also the mission, the most important mission of your student, right? That's why you're their guardian angel, helping to advise and support them. Right now, it's really important for you to help your student kind of reflect on their experiences from even middle school and high school, how it worked, how it hasn't, and what they need. When a student is looking at colleges, when you're also looking at colleges with them, does the school offer the academic opportunities you want post-graduation? That could be, does the Career Center give amazing internships for students? There's some programs that even have a co-op program. Does the school have an advisor that's linked up to them immediately at freshman year? Is there a transition session that they have available for them? Other things to think about is how competitive is the environment of the campus. Sometimes that competitiveness could just be also in volume of numbers. Yes, there are colleges where your intro class could be 1,000 to some as small as 10. Where would your student flourish? What do they need? A lot of times they think about other things, but we have to go back to the academics, because also keep in mind that if they are thinking about going to graduate school, who's going to be that professor who's going to know them to write their letter recommendation or not? When I used to work at UCSF, the graduate program, sometimes that made a huge difference. You could tell immediately if those undergraduate professors knew their student or not. What does your student need? You are also have so many opportunities. Some campuses have hands-on learning. I don't know about you. I love learning by doing. That's all about it. Then it sticks in my brain. But maybe you're looking at more a range of opportunities. Now you'll see the term that there's a lot of liberal arts school, but keep in mind, don't think that they don't have research opportunity. Remember I said I used to work at UCSF? I can't tell you, we had a lot of liberal arts colleges where those kids had more research opportunities sometimes at research schools. But this is more about what's the presentation of the classes and courses. And the nice thing is, every college and university has a course catalog. Tell them what classes you need to take. And sometimes if you go on YouTube, there's even some courses that you can even see like from MIT to see how the professors are teaching as well too. And then to see what type of opportunities are out there. But it doesn't always have to be professional. There's also social emotional learning. What are they doing on Wednesday night? Are they doing derby races at night at Lehigh University? Are they having great guest speakers like from Pixar at San Francisco State? What's happening that also does that social emotional learning? And then also make sure your beautiful students, if they have an idea or specific major, does that campus offer them that major? A lot of students think like, oh, of course all the UCs have business. Well, UC Santa Barbara has economics, not business. So that's why those are the important things to kind of think about when you're researching these schools. What other points do you also have, Mr. Lorenzo, about academics for the students?
You did such a great job of putting sort of a zoom out. I'm going to zoom in and give folks a couple of things to think about when you're trying to evaluate what the academic situation looks like. I think it's important to understand that what you're really looking at is what is the experience and what is the academic culture at an institution. And what that means is that you're going to have to understand what kind of level of engagement does this school offer for your particular student. When you talk about large research public schools like the University of California, in your first couple of years, you're going to be in larger lecture halls. You're going to be working with TAs. You're going to be with grad students. And so your academic learning experience primarily is going to be in a larger setting. Be mindful when they say the average class size, they're not making that distinction. The big schools want to sound like they're a small school, okay? So just be mindful that when you're looking at these large research schools, bigger schools mean you're going to have bigger class sizes, and you have to think for your student, is this going to be a conducive learning environment? Here's another way to think about it. And I think for parents, this is another way of kind of learning your child. And I'm borrowing from a mentor of mine who would use this when I used to work on the college side, and we would talk about understanding how your child behaves in the morning. When you have an alarm clock, some of you know your kids who are instant snoozers versus those who are instant risers. I think that's another way of being able to tell what kind of environment's going to work well for them. A place where they can snooze, maybe snooze a second time. Maybe the parent has to go in there and nudge them to get going. Perhaps a smaller, medium-sized school could be a better fit for them, because in a school like that, you're going to get a bit more hand-holding, a bit more support. You will have more people in the community reaching out and want to connect with you. But if you're an instant riser and you hear the alarm and you're ready to rock and roll, perhaps a big school will work for you. You will be a self-starter. You will be someone who won't be daunted or intimidated by larger class sizes and the need to have to perhaps fight to get FaceTime with your faculty member. Those are oftentimes aspects of the academic experience and culture that families are not often thinking hard enough. We are trying to get you to think beyond the name and the ranking and the prestige and the things that often get noisy out there, and it's easy to kind of fall for it. And instead, we want you to reflect a little bit more. What is the academic experience? What is the culture that you are looking for? There are always going to be trade-offs. And again, right now, it's a good place to be in terms of understanding what range of options you want to look at. Another way to think about understanding what you're going to need in terms of a bigger school, a mid-sized school, a smaller school is think about the menu. When I talk about the menu, that's the majors and the programs. If you are someone who wants to study biology, you can study that out of state. You can study that at a private school. You can study at UC. You can study that at the CSU. But perhaps at a UC, you're going to see 7 or 8 different versions of biology in terms of areas of specialty. But at a smaller school, maybe you'll only see 2 or 3. So when you're looking and you're trying to explore, does it have my major? Does it have potential things that you're looking for? Look at all the different ways they talk about biology or computer science or engineering or English or humanities. Understand that when you're looking at the menu, just look and be able to see how are they preparing you for whatever it is that you want to do. That goes into the career opportunities. How are they preparing students for graduate school? How are they preparing to get a job right away within 6 months of graduation? These schools will have the data, and you'll see that the data will be telling for you to see, oh, do they have students who go on to med school? Do they have students who go into the workforce? What is their average starting salary? These are things that you can begin to start to look at, to compare, instead of getting caught up in perhaps some of the names and the prestige and whatnot, and to be able to see, oh, let's see what the data starts to reveal, and understand that the opportunities that are available to you isn't just necessarily tied to the size of the school. Think about the opportunities in terms of what does the location and the environment, what connections do they have with the area? Ms. Vaccaro mentioned Lehigh earlier. They've got resources right here in the city. There are colleges and universities now across the country that are making very intentional partnerships in the Bay Area, because they know if they can get your child to come out to wherever they are, whether it's Pennsylvania or Minnesota, they have these connection internships to have you do something back here in the Bay Area, because they know that they still have connections here. So when you're thinking about academics, really hone in and think about what's the experience in the culture, what kind of opportunities do you want your student to be able to encounter, where is their strength? Where are their areas of growth?
Also, as a parent who has had 3 kids go through the college process, financial literacy is important. Even if you could buy your kid an Audi every year, it's important, because what does that mean for graduate school? And every student, I always tell them, same question I asked my parents and my sisters did as proud first-gen kids, is what can your family pay out of pocket? Now, I know this is a hard topic. I get it. I really we all get it, right? Money's a very sensitive topic, but I'll be very honest with you. When my parents told me and my sisters, and remember, no one knew about the college process, that they will give us unconditional love, but $0. We all found a way. We all found unique ways, because they told us ahead of time, and we all graduated, and we all love what we do because we knew ahead of time what we had. That unconditional love, I cannot tell you, it would give them strength. Regardless of what they say on the sidelines, it will always give them strength, but they need a plan. And so I did the same courtesy for my own children. I just looked in my pocketbook. What can I cash out? What can I not? And say, this is what you could do. If you want to add another school, then okay, go find a way. And giving them resources. So it's very important that you do not need to feel you have to take thousands and thousands of loans, like a house payment. And that stress level did not equate for that return on investment from that college. It doesn't. You need to take care of yourself. You have to be that role model for your child and make sure that you are ready and resourceful, taking care of themselves, so that it could be a really strong economic decision for the whole family. There's no right answer. It's about what is the best answer for your family. And that's where we always go in, is what is your needs? So right now, I want to just take a moment. There's a lot of information. So go take a moment right now, whether it's on your cell phone or anything. I want you to, Mr. Lorenzo gave a lot of gems of what does your child may need to look at for academic. Okay, just jot some notes down. Right? Maybe 2, 3, think about size, location, right? I mean, the majors, the academics, the career, write down what they need. Just take a moment. No names of campuses. What is the characters of the academics they need? Okay, you got it? Do it. Okay, now I want you, just for your eyes only, put down what you're comfortable still paying, what you're paying at St. Ignatius. Go put that out there. So then you can know, okay, this is what we can do. Okay, now what do we need? Every school out there will have a sticker price, also known as the total cost of attendance. Literally, if you put COA in the name of the school, you'll get the total cost. It's going to vary. There are some independent private schools that are 40, 50,000, and that's including, and then at the same time, there'll be some schools like, for example, like a University of Oregon, which is an out-of-state public school. So remember, we're not from Oregon, we're from California. We'll have about a $60,000 cost of attendance for non-resident. But if you go to another school like Reed College, that's also in Oregon, it meets 100% NEET. Whoa. How can I see that? So one of the things is that you could do these net price calculator. One of my favorite ones is My Intuition. So right now, write on your notes, My Intuition. And then on My Intuition, you can get all this great information on there about, hey, this is how much I have. This is how many children I have. And then boom, they'll show you how much, an estimate of how much the cost is. Now, for the class of 2025, the net price calculator is available for all the schools. During the Obama administration, they made it a law that every school has it, but there's no law right now of which year they're using. So because there's some financial aid changes, that's something that is starting with this senior class. We recommend looking at the net price calculator the beginning of spring semester. The word on the street in November should be up to date, but there's so many changes. Sometimes we need colleges to take a breath to get all that information ready. So that's something that's really key to do. One of the things is when you do the cost of attendance, basically, whether you're using a net price calculator or My Intuition, is basically say, okay, this is how much the school costs. This is how much assets you have minus all these other things the college will take under consideration. And then this is how much will be your net price, how much the college will expect you to pay, which is now called the Student Aid Index, right? That's a new terminology that's coming out. So that's one of the things that's available. But the key thing is, it's important to keep that in mind. Like I said, there are so many amazing schools, like Washington State University, even though it's a public school, costs the same amount as a Cal State, like Cal Poly San Luis Obispo or CSU San Marcos. And then there's some schools that are going to meet full need, like Reed College, or some other ones like Furman in South Carolina that will give a lot of merit scholarships too. So there's so many opportunities, but the key thing is to say, what can we do? What do we need? And use the resources. And remember, we're here for you as well. But Mr. Lorenzo is going to talk about a special extra opportunity we have about some workshop nights to really help you in this process.
Yes. We are partnering with Paul Martin. He has called the College Money Method. And so this year we are partnering with him, and he's working with our various grade levels, 10, 11, 12. We actually just had our first senior financial aid workshop. And for the junior class, we will have two particular workshops that are designed to help you all gain that financial literacy and have a better understanding of how to factor in affordability in whatever way, shape, or form you're going to consider it, how this is going to inform your process. Because the reality is that we understand that more and more families are starting to think more critically about value and about how to pay and how to start planning for it. And so in December, you'll have an opportunity to learn about borrowing for your college investment. So he'll talk about, kind of introduce the topic of loans and in the ways borrowing can be part of your payment process. I think it's important that when you're thinking about affordability, oftentimes there's sometimes hear families and students who talk, well, I don't want to take any loans. And I'm like, just know that loans and borrowing is a big part of our everyday financing, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a car or a credit card. There's a lot of borrowing and credit that happens, and understanding what's smart and maybe what might be risky is a good way to start to frame and figure out, again, as Ms. Vaccaro said, what can you do and what is it that will be difficult for you to understand. And then in May, you'll go into a deeper dive and get into affordability and understanding that how to build that affordability into your college list process. And we'll talk more about how that will unfold, because in junior year, second semester, we obviously have some curriculum that we'll get into helping students do their research, and this part will dovetail nicely and help bring that affordability piece and helping you figure out how to begin to sort of shape up what that final list will look like when you get to a little less than a year from now, when you're actually going through and applying in the process. Let's move on to location. That first question, right? How far are you going to go? I'm going to give you another way to think about location. When I used to work as a rep, and I worked at a school that wasn't too far from the territory that I was working in, and I often would challenge the students and help them understand that when you think about location and you think about distance, don't just think about it in terms of mileage. Think of distance in terms of your environmental experience. Because if you live in an urban environment, if you live in a rural, suburban, whatever environment that you are living in or most accustomed to or most familiar with, you could be 50 miles away and it could be a very different experience. So living in a place like San Francisco in a more urban environment and going to a place like in Moraga in the East Bay, it's a very different environment with the valley and being tucked 5 miles away from the freeway. So when you think about location and how far you're going to go, think about that experiential part in regards to distance, not just in terms of mileage and the time zone and how far you have to go, but also think about it that way, because that will also be very different. What location has to do a lot with is how familiar are you with that environment, and how much capacity do you have to kind of stretch what you're already comfortable with? How much are you willing to go beyond that? And how much of that is your excitement to want to do something completely new and different? All great things to consider. And wherever you are, when we're talking about location, I think it's always healthy to put into play, okay, if I have a student who's super excited to go really far away and they have no schools in California, I'll remind them, well, what about some options that would be close to them just in case? And vice versa. If anyone's going to look at California, are you sure you don't want to look in other parts of the country? Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're thinking about all the possible ways that location can inform you. And again, you want to be thinking about all the different ways it can impact your overall list, and understand that at this point in time, we want you to be open in whichever space you might be in terms of the ways in which you want to encounter location, how much travel you want to deal with, how about the seasons, and whether or not being in the ocean or the desert or the forest, whatever that might look like. Be open-minded to the ways in which you want to be thinking about the opportunities that you could be excited to participate in, but also just be critical too of the fact, like if someone, often do I hear the student who wants to go to Hawaii or go to the snow because they enjoyed their vacations, and telling them, well, you're going to be there longer than a couple weeks. How's that going to be when you got to be there and that's going to be your environment for 4 years? When you think about location, when you think about distance, think about environment, think about what you're comfortable with, think about how far you want to stretch, and find a good balance to figure out how you want to have different schools that represent all the different ways location can shape your list.
Mr. Lorenzo gave you a lot about location. It's reflection time. Take a pause. What does your child need in order to be successful in school, in their college, be happy? Remember that social emotional learning, and then look back when they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I went there. Okay, write that down, write on a piece of paper. You're a paper person. If you are going to lose paper like I do all the time, put it on your cell phone, put on the notes, and put that down. Regarding about location, on the Q&A, someone said, wait. Well, I heard something about WUI. How does Washington State University get to be half the price of University of Oregon if they're both public schools? Well, did you not know that there are some public universities on the West Coast that has agreements with California residents saying, we want you. University of Oregon is not a WUI school. Oregon State is, but it's extremely competitive. But Washington State University in Pullman is not. Every campus is different. So make sure to check that out, and it's over there. But the next thing now, okay, we wrote down about academics, location. Now let's talk about size. How would that impact your campus life? Thanksgiving's coming up, right? So if you're going grocery shopping, there's tons of people, there's a lot of action, things are going fast. Do you like that type of pace for your student? Does your student like that type of pace where they're coming and going, Or would they like where it's chill, where they can actually catch a breath? If they're late for class, the professor maybe say, is everything okay? Versus a large campus where they may not know they're in there. Remember, in college, there's no attendance. As Ms. Lorenzo hinted before, you'll see a lot of times, public university have these small ratio. For every professor, there's 13 15, 20. Well, remember, a lot of research institutions, large campuses have graduate school, master's, PhD. Those are average in there, where I had friends in PhD programs like, oh, I only had 3 in that class. That really lowers the average size. So I always like to ask colleges, what is your largest freshman class? Because that's where your baby is going to leave you and be on their own. So visualize that. Are they okay in 1,000? Are they okay in 200 or smaller? And then a style classroom. Is it a lecture based? Is the professor who's doing the grade presenting, or are they having lecture and then discussion groups? Some UCs do where they meet multiple times, but only with the graduate student. I've sat in one before. What is the one that fits best? Or is the small classroom better for them? Or is that too intimidating? It's like, I don't know if I want my professor to know if I'm there or not. There's no one right answer except what meets the needs of your student. How are they being successful in that classroom? Also, other activities that are available for them. Go Google student life. You put student life on any website, public or private, there's going to be tons of information that's available. Okay, so take a moment, write down what size you think your kids need, and then now Mr. Lorenzo is going to talk about more about student life outside of the classroom.
So let's talk about life outside of classes, outside learning, relationship building. This is the other learning that happens that goes beyond the classroom. And so when you're thinking about that, diversity in whatever way you want to think of it, geographic, religious, ethnic, etc., understand that that's also going to inform the learning experience that you have, because you'll be interacting with faculty and staff and other students. So think about how that is going to also shape and influence the ways in which you want to experience your college life. And know that's also going to be informed based on what housing options will they have. How many students get to live on campus for a few years versus is housing available for all 4 years? How much of the campus is going to be with commuters? Whether or not athletics is and intramural sports. Are you someone that wants to be playing the sports, or you want to be in a place where you get to watch the sport? What about the honors program? Some of you might be looking for much more enriching academic opportunities. There are many big schools that have honors programs that you could experience that would give you extra opportunities to learn and grow beyond the typical assignments in a particular class. And for those of you who are serious about looking at graduate school, this is a great way to get some of that formal scholarly research under your belt. Maybe religious affiliation is important to you. For some of you, you want to continue to explore the Catholic Jesuit faith. Maybe for some of you, you want to explore something different. But think about how whether or not the things that you've come to appreciate and what we offer here at SI is something that you want to continue to carry with you, whether it's going to be a prevalent part or perhaps something that you want to continue to do, but to exercise it in a different way. And then lastly, think about study abroad. There are various ways to continue your campus learning experience. And in some cases, it's something in which you have an opportunity to be with folks who are from your school and study abroad elsewhere, or be part of a larger consortium program. In terms of college research and demonstrated awareness, and I'm going to use the word engagement because the way that colleges are starting to track and to sort of at least be aware of the ways in which a student is learning about their school, they're looking at all the different ways one may interact. So I'm going to list a couple of the ways in which they will potentially be sort of measured and be observed, and then after that, pass it over to Ms. Vaccaro. So understand that SCORE, which we'll talk a little bit more in detail, is an opportunity for you to again do more research and to engage the schools in terms of getting more information. There are in-person visits, which Ms. Vaccaro already mentioned in regards to college reps who have already been here this semester. And again, they'll have an opportunity, whether it's through college fairs, and we'll get the opportunity again next fall. There are campus virtual tours and sessions. Because of the pandemic and the need to create all this virtual content, a lot of colleges now have created lots of great opportunities to engage and learn with them. UC Santa Barbara, whether you're interested or not, is a great school that has done many different kinds of sessions, even panels, even academic sessions that are very specific to particular departments, to how to do things within admissions. So know that plenty of colleges now are offering these kind of ways in which you can engage and learn in much more dynamic ways. That's not just limited to in-person, knowing that some folks just can't get out to certain places and they want to give as much information at your fingertips in front of your computer. And of course, meetings with the college counselor. We're here to help support and help you figure out ways to make use of all the different tools that are are available, whether it's Score, whether it's Instagram, etc.
What happened with the pandemic made all the colleges pivot, as Ms. Wong would say, and we pivoted too to give you more. You will have, oh my God, over 70 podcast episodes where we're interviewing students on the college campuses, the college representative, getting tips and points of views, like how to even do a college interview, personal statements, you name it, YouTube channel, our Twitter page. Also, is the school going to help my child get money, get a good job? Look at PayScale. There's a report for 2023. You can even go on LinkedIn. Colleges have their own profiles so you can see their opportunities. But again, when I mentioned in the beginning, on the college website, whether you just kind of floor there or you email a rep or your student even reach out to professors, yes, they can. I'm speaking as a parent. My kid, not you parent, no matter how badly you want to, you contact financial aid. But the student can contact the college rep, college professors. And guess what? When my kid reached out to a college professor, they even encourage about a scholarship opportunity. So the key thing is when you find something you like, to go ahead and dive in. Let's go look at how we could use Score. Yes, not Squire, Score, SCOIR. And here you're going to get to see how you can use this tool. Now, we did give an invitation to you to register. Here you go.
The student view, not the parent view, where the students can, so we could show them how to sign up for a rep visit.
That's great. Okay, so thank you, Ms. Lorenzo. So here you see that your juniors do have access. So all the juniors, your students already have access to this information. But there's a lot of similarities. So here is the home page that you would see on here. Most of the features are very similar. Only the student can go and email the rep or see the register for visits. So do remember that that's what you're seeing on the far right is only for the student. That won't be on your screen. But if I want to go click on, so if Mr. Lorenzo clicks on 4-year U.S. colleges, or even there's 116 amazing ones. So if he clicks on 4-year U.S. colleges, I'm already searching for schools. And then I could break it down. Mr. Lorenzo mentioned about size. So Mr. Lorenzo is going to pick a size for us. So if I click a size, I can pick 1 or 2. It's going to go filter for us. Now we have, 563 schools. But now he's going to pick on academic focus. We talked about that as well. Maybe we're undecided, one of my favorite majors, but maybe they want to make sure my school has some type of biology. But maybe settings important, location, state. So he's going to click on settings and it says, okay, I want an urban campus. Look how many colleges, hundreds, and we can even make it more narrow. But if we scroll down on the page, we can look at the schools, and Mr. Lorenzo is going to pick some random schools and click on that thing called add to compare. If we can add to compare on there, right? It's going to be like 2 or 3 schools on there, right? And remember, you want a balanced list, a range of size, a range of location, a range of admission rates. And then when Mr. Lorenzo goes ahead and clicks on, you can pick on one more school, or we can click on those 3 schools. If he clicks on the far right, he got 4. Bradley. I love that school. No biases, sorry. But Bradley School, and I click on compare. If I just want a quick look, I could go ahead and look at these schools. Now, why did some schools have test information? Well, remember, we're going to tell you more. We're in the world of test optional and test free, which will be a later slide in a moment. But if we keep scrolling down, we can see some super selective schools to super likely schools. We also if we scroll down more, there's even more information about campus life, about size, what's this retention, how many kids come back, the diversity of the campus as well. Some of these campuses will feature other opportunities. Hey, is most people going to business? Most people going to health? Here you have a whole bunch of different items. On here, it even breaks it down like, does the school offer interview statements? So this gives you a wealth of information. It's time on that timeline to dive in, to go ahead and suggest in different for your students. And then, hey, if you find a school, so let's put on St. Louis University, Mr. Lorenzo, let's click on that campus right there. Let's just say it has all the things that we want on there. I could go ahead and put add to my colleges. So you as a parent and us as college can suggest some colleges. And then also your student can also add on colleges. So you want to build this list. You want to discover. So if we go ahead, let's go click on Bradley University so we can view the profile. You will see even more information about the campus. Like, for example, you'll see the location where it exists. You also can go and see more information about the campus. So there's tons and tons of information. Some of them will have a virtual tour. So yeah, so if you can't go out to Illinois, they will have some of those features for you. Click on cost and attendance if you don't mind. If you just want to have a quick look to see, hey, if my salary is about $75,000 or more, this gives you the average cost for families in that salary range, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of information. Make sure to register. If you lost that registration, just contact any of the counselors, personal, academic, or college counselor, and we can resend that registration as well. Also, SCORE gives you what's called the scattergram. It basically gives you a graph, and a lot of students go, are those SI students? Yes. If you go look at a school and you go under the academics, you could see all the students who've been accepted, who have been waitlist. It's not helpful information. You can look at a list of students, like who submitted the test or not. So that's also information that is available, which is perfect timing because we were just talking about the test.
Testing. Okay. When we talk about testing, understand that the landscape has shifted for everyone the last couple of years, and that we've come to a point now that 87% of accredited bachelor granting institutions are now test optional or test free. That means testing is an activity. That is the best way to think about testing as we move forward. It is something that you have to determine to what extent, if any, what role it will play for you. Something to keep in mind in terms of data that we learned from this most recent class of 2023. This is based on self-reported data that we asked them to submit in the survey. 59% of our seniors took an ACT or an SAT. 41% opted out of taking a test. 29% ultimately ended up submitting to one school. And based on data that we have using the last 3 years of this test optional era and comparing it to 3 years from 2018 to 2020 to compare pre-COVID data, nothing significant has changed in terms of acceptance rate, in terms of what we've seen, in terms of how students have been doing. So that means that testing, as colleges have been trying to say, testing is ultimately up to the family to decide whether or not it is something that you want to exercise and use. And know that part of how we're helping you with that is the opportunity to take the PSAT, which I'll pass it over to Ms. Recaro.
Welcome to a new era of testing for the College Board, who administers the PSAT, which is a practice SAT test. They're only doing a digital testing that is starting with the class of 2025. So this Wednesday, all of your students have already been registered. It is a mandatory exam. No registrations needed. It's using what's called the Blue Book that College Board is using. They could either use the online calculator or bring their calculator. Most importantly, just take a deep breath, be well rested, and take the exam. And starting in March of 2024, all SAT exams will only be digital. So if your student is one of those students like, hey, I know the schools are test optional, but I know I'm a great tester. I've always been that high percentile. Hey, let's just see what happens. Even though majority of colleges do not need test scores, even for merit aid. Yes, you heard it here. Yes, check with each website. Majority of schools do not need even for merit aid or admission. But if they want to highlight them, just no different than someone highlights a scholarship they won or an activity or achievement they did. We do recommend students to sign up now through the College Board. So remember, all testing for the class of 2025 will need to be done through the College Board, or if they love the ACT test, both colleges will accept both scores. They also could do that at the ACT website. So just keep that in mind. Make sure those devices are charged. No Chromebooks. No. Bring an extra charger. That means the brick that goes into the wall and the plug, or if they have a battery one as well. There will be no extra iPads or chargers, etc., available. So it's so key and so important. And then there will be more information with our wonderful AP coordinator for AP exams as well, too, for students, which is, again, not required for any colleges or universities for AP exams. So just keep that in mind. There's just like a handful of schools that are requiring the SAT test. That's why you want to search it, right? So yeah, if it's Georgetown, military academy, some public, University of Tennessee in Knoxville or Purdue? Yeah, they do. But the majority of colleges are test optional, or like our UC and Cal State's test free.
College culture, there's a lot of heightened pressure and noise that has surrounded this process. And I'm going to leave you with the data point that hopefully will make you think about this differently. NACAC, the National Association for College Admission Counseling, is an organization we're a part of, and they track data every couple of years. They put a report based on fall 2021. The average acceptance rate of four-year institutions is 73%. The average acceptance rate for public schools, 78%. The average for private schools, 70%. We are dealing with a culture that, if you think about those numbers, you have a lot more options than you realize. And we know that this heightened pressure is being brought forth in a lot of different ways, whether it's through people you encounter at work, people that you socialize with, people you go to church with, people you hang out with. There's just a lot of noise and pressure around it. We want you to know that you will. You want to go to college, you will. There are plenty of options out there. And we want you to know that we're here to help support you in that. And we recognize, too, that some of you might be thinking about hiring an independent educational consultant. And if you were to do that, we have some criteria for you to consider. At the minimum, we would hope that these are folks that at least possess a certificate in college admission counseling. This is something I personally did when I made the switch from college to high school 8 years ago. It has, it had its good points, but I can also tell you, did not cover everything I would hope everyone that would be doing this work could be. It does give you some things, but there's something to be said of those who are also current members of WCAC or NACAC. There are current members of organizations such as HECA or IECA. These are professional organizations for independent consultants where they have a higher standard in terms of knowledge and ethics. And I think lastly, honestly, a reference. I think it would be really important to have someone who can actually provide a reference of someone who works in this field, whether it is a school counselor or an admissions counselor, ideally someone in higher level position, because there is a certain standard. We hold ourselves to a high standard as to how we want to work and partner with you. And we recognize everyone comes out of a different place, but we're here for you. Your tuition comes with us already, and we're here and we're able to assist you. We're available. You just have to partner with us and let us know how is it that we can best support you and help you understand that we're part of helping sort of deflate the pressure around here and help put you in the best possible position, because we want to center you in the process as we go through forward in college admissions.
So let's kind of sum it up. What's really important. Transcript review. That's all their grades that they have taken since ninth grade. That still is the number one factor. Yes, that still is the number one factor. So there's going to be a lot of rumorvilles about, is the school still test optional or not? Please remember, like we mentioned over and over, your colleges, that's why the students need to dive into search, will say everything that's on their website. And yeah, there are a few schools that are looking at some data research, right? So for example, Columbia University already got the data. They're staying test optional forever. Stanford, they're going to look at the research one more time, and then they will put on their website sometimes late spring, early summer, if they are going to require it or not. But the majority of campuses will remain test optional on there. So please check the website versus the rumorville on there. And then also think about your kids' activities. What is it that it's highlighting? Or as Ms. Camperberry would say, what is the activities showing to the colleges? What are you showing how they are contributing to other people? What is it that is their story, their highlight story? What would be their Super Bowl commercial based on all their activities? And make sure that it's an enriching experience, because it's not about quantity, it's quality. Yes, it is always quality of what their achievements are. And of course, it's so important to stay engaged in the classroom. Even if there's that beautiful student that's struggling in the class, I have seen letter recommendations from junior or senior teachers where a kid is constantly going to the office hours, asking for help, maybe struggling, raising their hand. That's a great letter recommendation, because that kid shows grit. That kid shows determination. So your juniors will be selecting a teacher from their English, math, science, world language, or social studies for a letter recommendation. And that's what the colleges want to hear. How are they engaged? And then they will connect with us. That's why we're that team member. Their assigned college counselor will be writing about who that student is outside the classroom. Yes, their college counselors will be writing that letter recommendation with that. And of course, connecting with that colleges. We've been telling your students since we've been connecting with them spring semester, but friendly reminders are important, because a lot lot of times students go, I have plenty of time. 1 year is not a lot of time. You and I know that. So have that once a week check-in. Parents, guardians, write some things about what's some important things you should cover with your student. Remember, just talk with them once a week. Mr. Lorenzo, any key points that you want to bring up?
To the Q&A?
I think so.
So the first question here, many schools state that 2024 will be their last test optional year. Do you think there's any chance of that changing, or will the class of 25 generally be required to take tests for private college admissions? So again, in terms of, we know that there are a handful of schools that have continued to go on this kind of year-to-year basis. And there's a possibility that may continue for a couple more years. I'm hoping, right, with the class of 2025, you'll get a bit more definitive understanding that, okay, this is how it's going to be with their test optional or test free, or if they're going to require it again, right? We know MIT, Georgetown, the academies, a handful of public schools have already gone back to that. Here's my read on it, knowing that colleges, especially ones who are currently test optional or trying to figure out what kind of policy they want to make, they're doing their due diligence. So if you can backtrack and remember, the class of 2021 was the first class that graduated during this sort of like forced test optional situation. And so those students right now are currently juniors, and they will be graduating with your class of 2025. So I think what colleges are doing is they're studying their data, and they're trying to figure out, can the students that we have admitted in this test optional landscape actually do the work that we think they can do, or they hope they can do. And plenty of colleges who have been doing test optional for a long time have come to that conclusion. And so our hope is that more schools will continue to do that. Now, whether they'll go test free, that's a bolder move, like in terms of what the UCs and CSUs, but test optional, I am hopeful that more schools will make that their permanent policy, because they'll see that the data shows that plenty of students that are coming through without test scores, like we've seen the data, we've seen our own students who have been able to, persist and move on. They're doing fine. They're doing well, and they're still getting into a variety of different schools like they did prior to it. So our hope is that many schools will continue to be in there. But of course, stay tuned. We'll keep you posted as we hear things as well.
And, and both Mr. Lorenzo and I have gone to the National College Conference. All the college representatives, even the directors, love this test optional world. They love it, love it, love it. So they're just waiting for certain data for board members. So, so that's all that's happening. You're just kind of finalizing. Just know that the admissions teams love that process that's out there. If you forgot again, it's fairtest.org. And then here's one last question before we sign off. Do you see difference in acceptance rates between students who enroll in SI summer school and those who don't, assuming all things are equal? I think the question is how are colleges looking about a student taking advantage of opportunities? Well, great point. Every high school nationwide has what's called a school profile. What classes are offered? What's the makeup of the school? What's the zip code of the school? And then also they look at, what is the presentation of the student? What are they taking advantage of? So whether that's inside, outside, or outside, or maybe that student has a lot of family responsibilities or has a job, that's something that they're doing independent research. Yes, I had a student who grew algae in their bedroom. No exaggeration. The college is going to look at the whole person, just like you're going to look at the whole college and see, how does this fit our campus? How does this fit their home? How does that fit their major? Right. And so that's something they're going to look. So it's not a black and white answer. It's not a checkbox. It's anything. It's a whole picture of how you can be a more beautiful collage into their college that really complements them as well. Anything else you want to add? And I think we have just...
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, right? Context, right? When anything that you're looking at and we're talking about, whether it's summer school, whether it's the school profile, whether it's any activities you do, colleges are always looking at context and all the different things that are available and to what extent are you taking advantage of them. I think it's important to understand that admissions is not a head-to-head battle. I think that there's this perception that if I don't do this and this other person does that, that's the reason I don't get in. A student will say, I got a grade in this course and this other one got a lower grade, or I took this AP or this summer school. That's not how admissions work. Admissions does not work in this head-to-head battle where they're comparing you literally against someone and saying, all things being equal. All things are not equal. I think it's important when we talk about the entire landscape of admissions, it's hard to really say all things holding equal, because there's so many variables that are considered, and we don't know all the different variables that college college will be looking at. They all have different institutional priorities that they will value. And this is why some students wonder, or families wonder, well, how did I get into this school and not to that other school? And they would have thought, well, based on the data or based on this, there's no rhyme or reason to be able to come to that conclusion. What I can say this is that in terms of what colleges are doing, they're looking to build and enroll and recruit a talented, diverse student body. They're not looking to just get one-trick ponies. They're looking to get all kinds of unicorns, all kinds of pointed students that bring different things to their class. So just know that you do the best you can and you pursue the things that are within reach and your interest, and that's what you can control. I think it's important to understand that at the end of the day, when we talk about all these things, everything that we emphasize, everything we talk about is understanding that you control a lot of this. There are 3 parts to this process. You choose where you apply, colleges choose who they admit, and you ultimately choose where you go. So I think oftentimes families and students understand 2 out of the 3 steps you actually have control over. Focus on those things in which you have control over in this process. Easier said than done. It's hard to think like that. It's easy to get caught up in all the minutia and all the noise. But no, at the end of the day, if summer is an opportunity for you to expand and to do other activities, go for it. If it's immersion, go for it. If it's travel, go for it. If it's self-care and having family vacations, go for it. Do what's best for you ultimately. And we're here to help partner and help you figure out how to best present yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's what we can control, is to put you in the best possible position, do what's best for you, become the best version of yourself, and hope that the colleges will see that as well.
Amen, Ms. Lorenzo. Amen to that. Yeah, so gather your need list. Do know colleges have their own need list too. And guess what? They'll be lucky to have your wonderful darlings, that student, that SI Wildcat. And you're like, wait, there was a lot of information. I forgot the website. Oh my God. No need. Oh my God. We got your back. Yes, we will have this on YouTube. Not tomorrow. Yeah. So you're going to need to have some mindfulness, some family time, that PDF, that personal down family time to kind of reflect what is that family need. The 5 college counselors with over 75 years, great experience. We work as a team with our personal academic counselor. You are a teammate. We're excited. We are thrilled and honored to serve your students. Now it's time for you to take care of yourself, sign off, and we look forward to working with your students. Go Wildcats.
Thank you all.
Thank you for listening to SI Counseling Podcast, where we help our students strive to respond courageously to the opportunities and challenges of our time.